New England Patriots on Apple TV+. Matt Hamachek is back to break this down. We're 6 episodes in. It's great to see you. We got Strahan lighting it up. He's so delightful to watch. He's talking about Super Bowl losses in 2007 and 2011, Spygate in fine detail, Ernie Adams, the Brady ACL injury. We're going to get into Alex Guerrero. I love it. Egos taking over, all of it. What has been the most surprising response from fans and people in the league probably after these first 6?
I mean, I think in general, everybody has just been, like you sort of talked about, it's, we're telling the unvarnished story of the New England Patriots. So I think everybody's, from what I can tell, has just loved it. And sort of, it's a chance to see a story like this that has been told so many different times in the past, maybe through slight, very specific lenses, like Bill had a book about him called Education of a Coach, and Tom Brady had his series, but this is sort of a different way of viewing the story. It's unvarnished. It's sort of getting into everything. So I think that's the feedback that I've been getting.
And I think, Aaron Hernandez is episode 6, and you're talking about a different lens. This is something that has been picked over and dissected, and not just the football world, but the world at large knows this story. There have been documentaries made about that tragedy on its own. I don't really remember hearing Robert Kraft talk about it. And RKK is in his rawest form on this subject in front of the camera with the Dynasty on Apple TV+. What did you learn about Robert Kraft with that storyline?
Well, I think the part that really shocked me was when we were talking, there's a moment where the cameras are sort of, the news helicopters are following Aaron Hernandez. He goes to the stadium and Robert goes to talk to him. And he says in this one moment, Aaron, if you did this, I'll hire a lawyer on my dime because I'm sure you had a good reason to do it. And Aaron says, I wasn't there. I was in Rhode Island or something like that. And Robert talks about how it sort of changed him forever because he really thought he had this a good barometer for when people were telling the truth to him or not. But it's not just Robert. I mean, it's Deion Branch, it's Wes Welker, it's it's just so many different people who are talking about this. And I think the thing that really mattered to me and to the rest of the team that I made the film with is that, you realize, yes, there's a tragedy here, but this is a person who is beloved. This is not just the headlines and the sort of the more true crime part of this thing. This is a guy that they all deeply cared about, and they had hints of that there was something, but it wasn't anything remotely close to what transpired. And they really hoped that being in the Patriot Way would sort of help him leave. And I think for us it was just like, look, these are the guys that were there. Let's just get out of the way and let them tell their stories.
I mean, it's chilling even just to talk to you about it now, and everybody should go watch these episodes, watch the entire series with I believe 4 episodes still to go. And it's sort of this hard thing to swallow with this deep caring of this person, and then the tragedy. And Kraft says Bill didn't want to release him after the murder charges came down. That's in this docuseries, and he seems
you can understand that though, right? I mean, think about it. It's like you have, from my perspective, an owner and a coach that are both doing what you would hope an owner and a coach would do if you're a player who's caught up in something, right? You have a coach who's basically saying, hold on, let's just take this one step at a time. He actually had nothing, he hasn't been convicted of anything yet, with sort of a due process type of mentality. And then you have an owner who's basically coming in and saying, I'll hire a defense lawyer for you on my dime. And it's like, if you're a player in the NFL and you hear that, I'm thinking like, well, I want to go be at a place like that with those two people who are going to always have my back no matter what. I mean, that was my take on it, at least.
It's a great take, Matthew, and thinking about what this meant as far as the growing disconnect or whatever the journey was between Kraft and Belichick. How much do you think that the tragedy played in them sort of going and the fissure that was created?
I mean, you'd have to ask them. My honest answer is I don't think it played very much at all. I think that, that's something that we get a little bit into in later episodes. But that's, I mean, really, I don't want to put words in their mouths. That's obviously something for them to answer.
Bill Parcells did not hold back on his time with the Patriots, and especially Robert Kraft. The guy literally chose to walk after going to a Super Bowl with the Pats in 1996. What was the most telling part about your time with Bill?
Oh man, I mean, first off, just to sit across from that guy and get to ask him questions about stuff. But it wasn't a difficult interview. It sort of brought it up, and he very clearly just said he didn't think that at the time Robert had any experience and that he was taking the draft away from him, and he didn't like that. And so again, the best stories are ones where you can understand everybody's perspective, no matter who it is. And in Bill Parcells' case, it was okay. Well, yeah, if you're a two-time Super Bowl winning coach from another team, and somebody's starting to take the draft away from you who's, in your opinion, doesn't have the experience to do something like that and give it to somebody else, then you can understand why they're upset. But the result, if you're a Patriots fan, was they got Terry Glenn and they went to the Super Bowl. And, you can also understand from ownership's perspective, hey, like the decisions that we made in the draft got us to the Super Bowl and now you're leaving. Like it's an odd time to leave. So again, you want to be able to see both sides. And I think that's good storytelling.
And I think I can't wait to watch the Alex Guerrero stuff evolve as it is, because I obviously covered the Patriots in New England through a couple of Super Bowls. I've met Alex. I know players now who work with Alex that, give him a lot of credit. And I mean, Tom Brady did not miss games after he was introduced into his life. It's just true. And, there's people who come, New England fans, people in the building. There's a lot of different opinions. I like that you're just going to let it hopefully unfold and everyone gets to tell sort of their side of the story.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this is, look, I'm not narrating this thing. This is not my telling of the Patriot story. This is the people who are in the rooms, who are there, and it's complicated. And we see Alex's sideline privileges and whatnot were revoked at a certain point. We get Tom's side of it and we get the coaching staff side of it. And that's important because just let these people talk and get out of the way has kind of been our mantra as we put this thing together.
Do you think, I'm asking you now, do you think he was a pivotal part of Tom Brady's success? Like, I
think Tom certainly thinks that he was. I mean, that's the one thing that when you hear Tom talk about it, I mean, he is still passionate to this day. He couldn't believe that Alex had given him and other people so much help. And for him to then be pulled away and sort of almost punished, I just think he still to this day just can't believe that happened.
I can't wait to hear Tom Brady's Hall of Fame speech in a couple of years and how much real estate Alex Guerrero will have. And I think he's a big turning point in where this went as far as him parting ways with the dynasty in New England. Now I'm hearing there's a little birdie and a producer in my ear telling me that there's an episode coming up that involves Taylor Swift. Is this true? What can you tell me?
Yeah, so in episode 8, which is when Tom comes back from his 4-game Deflategate suspension, sort of the world's on his case, everybody wants to see him fail. He goes on the revenge tour, and we always try to find music that doesn't necessarily, it's not subversive, but it just doesn't necessarily always make it's not the typical way you would show something. And so we decided we were going to try to use Taylor Swift's song "Look What You Made Me Do."
Great song.
When we started to try to license it, we realized that she had not yet recorded her sort of Taylor's version of it. So we had to go to her team, and the album hasn't come out yet. And so we went to her team, and she was on the Eras tour, and we said, hey, this is before the Travis Kelce stuff and everything. And so we said, I know this is football, it might be weird, but would you be interested in letting us have it and use it in this thing? And she was in Mexico City, so we had to wait till those concerts were done. And then she I think, finally watched it and gave us the green light. So this episode, episode 8 drops this Friday, will have the yet to be released version of "Look What You Made Me Do," which is the Taylor's version of the song.
I cannot wait to see that. And we have the next 2 episodes of The Dynasty entitled Under Pressure and Score to Settle. And those come out this Friday on Apple TV+. Anything else you want to tell us about that, about any of the episodes coming up? A little preview? Give me something.
All right, look, it's Deflategate. It's the Malcolm Butler interception.
Amazing.
It's a little bit of Tom's backstory in episode 8. And then finally we get to the 28-3 Super Bowl, which in my opinion is one of the greatest sort of football/sports moments ever, and the footage there is just incredible, and it's going to be a lot of fun for people
It
to
is
watch it.
so fun to watch everybody just give their side of the story, like you're saying, in their words. The access is insane. If you are a sports fan, if you want to be inspired, if you just want to learn a little something about history, please check it out. And those new episodes, both of them come out this Friday again on Apple TV+. Matthew, congratulations on all the success and thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.